But so you said you've never seen Family Guy before, right?
Yeah.
Like up until now.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of want to like break it down, episode by episode, because like this
Mhm.
is one of those shows that I've seen like a fuck ton of, and episodes like the first season is, or like I should say, like the first three seasons are kind of unique in a,
Yeah.
sense of the guy who made it, Seth MacFarlane, also known for American Dad and Ted, if you've ever seen those. But
Head. Didn't
it's
he make the fucking
it's
is
like,
that the teddy bear?
yeah, it was like the teddy bear that came to life and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made that, but seasons 1 through 3 are kind of unique because like um Family Guy is like split into like three eras where you have seasons 1 through 3, which is like right before it got canceled for the first time. And then I think you have seasons like 6 through 8, which is when it got canceled a second time, and then like it went to or like the first time it came back because of Adult Swim reboot, showing reruns, and
Yeah.
like people were like, "Oh yeah, this is like the funniest shit ever."
Eh.
But so there was the first cancellation, the second, and then what we have now. But seasons 1 through 3 is like a lot of that is what he directly wrote because
Mhm.
he was like obsessed with like shows like the Flintstones, Jetsons, and he actually worked at Hanna-Barbera for a while, and he developed like a prototype for Family Guy, which I think we would have to do like a whole other episode about because like that's its own can of worms.
Oh no.
So
That would be an interesting one to talk about.
yeah, because it's like one episode, and it's like 15 minutes because I always forget like you didn't start like watching TV till like about we were in high school, right? Or a little
I
bit
didn't
before.
have cable, like regular cable TV until late middle school. All I had was like, PBS, Cubo,
Oh yeah, okay,
whatever public access TV channels were around.
okay. So I don't know if they did this like all the way back then, because that'd be like around like 2012 to 2014.
Ah.
But so there was like this thing, I think it was called like, it was like animation fuel, like, or like fuel TV or something like that, where they would show like these blocks of like all of these pilots, and they would kind of test people like, oh, which one do you like the one most? So Family Guy started from this one called Larry and Steve, which
Mhm.
you met the dog Brian and Peter.
Yes.
Those are Larry and Steve. So Family Guy kind of morphed from Larry and Steve into what it is now,
Hmm.
but you know, a lot of the references in the show are like centered around like the 70s and 80s, maybe like early 90s.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of feel that in like a weird way in like the first episode. Be-
Definitely in the way they reference media
yeah,
and like old TV shows.
um I'm trying to remember if it was like episode 1 or 2, but like there was that fucking show Chips, if you know what that is.
Oh, I don't, but I did recognize Alf, um, fucking Jeannie, whatever her name was.
Um The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz.
My this was like a really quick one, but this just kind of shows like that 80s, like 70s 80s things was like GI Jew.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Pound Poochie, Silly Ball.
God.
But it just um Death Has a Shadow, just really fucking interesting pilot episode for sure, cuz um the funniest fact I could tell you is like we're already halfway through season 1 because it
Oh.
only has 7 episodes. But like it it's like a fucking, oh jeez. I'm trying to like find the correct words to put into it, but like it's interesting in the another fact of like the writing has like weirdly aged well.
Oddly enough, despite how raunchy it feels.
Yeah, like episode 3 of like, oh look, I'm I'm the two symbols of the Republican Party, an elephant and a fat ass white guy scared of change. But um like some of these like references I also have to look up, like the fucking Paul Reiser book Couplehood in the Poison Bowl. That dog food thing with like the fucking like horse-drawn carriage. That's for just a commercial about dog food.
Oh,
And I'm like, it another reason I like it is cuz um I really enjoy that phrase of just if you don't like something, make it yourself.
hmm,
And this literally feels like a guy just was like, I'm gonna make a show only I'm gonna like. Here's my
yeah,
references. But
definitely.
like trying to break it down better. Season 1 or season 1, episode 1, Death Has a Shadow. Like the basic premise, like Peter loses his job, he qualifies for welfare, and he actually gets like 150 grand check,
Yeah.
which we kind of missed out on a reference in that one because Family Guy aired like the first episode aired right after that Super Bowl, which I looked up, which was about January 31st, 1999. But it felt like it just felt like they they saw an opportunity and they took it like the best shot they could of like, yo, let's have this go right after the Super Bowl.
Mm,
Um, especially with like John Madden being there. But at the end of the day, I love the pilot so much, but like there's really not much to talk about outside like the basic premise. Like maybe the Kool-Aid guy thing.
yeah.
There's nothing
That was
else.
definitely that and I believe the Colt in episode 3 was a reference to Jamestown drinking the punch and
Oh
the
yeah,
mass suicide.
yeah. That's another thing I have to appreciate. It was like it was not afraid to shoot some shots.
That's why it's so raunchy feeling. I
Yeah,
mean, that had to have happened if I remember around that time that it's trying to take place in. So, good lord.
it's I I think that's like probably right. Like the Jamestown thing, and then
Yeah, I
I
believe that happened in the 80s or the 90s, if I remember.
so yeah, that would have been extremely referential. I didn't think about
Yes,
that. And
it would not have been a past gone, like long gone event.
um and one of the main reasons like I wanted to do like something like this is because like you've never seen it. So, I do enjoy like this fresh state, like someone else is like paying attention to like all this stuff. We can see some really early tropes as well. Like that scene where like Stu was like climbing down the fucking window. Like they had that establishing shot, and then it's just like
Yeah,
forcing you to look at the background. I kind of appreciate stuff like that because it's something that's like we're gonna see like a whole lot down. And I forgot to mention this in like the very extremely short episode 1 discussion, but I also feel like we got like a kind of good framework for the family. Like we know what Peter's whole thing is. We know what Lois, Stewie, Chris, Megs.
yeah, Brian.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate that because um there's like this thing in animation or like pilots in general where it's like extremely safe just to go for like what an average episode would be like.
Mm,
It didn't take like that whole approach of like, hey, this is so and so and this is what they're really wanting to do. The the only two characters I do believe that change from like their original season 1 counterpart is Chris and Brian because Chris just becomes a fucking gooner. Like there's just like this really one-off joke in like a later season, like season 20 or something, where
mm,
he's just like, yeah, I categorize all my porn into the spewy decimal system. and he just has like a excuse me, a bunch of random sex tapes of like his parents.
Oh no.
So, there's that whole thing, but and then Brian, he just becomes more of a liberal, and
Yeah.
he just turns into, why can't I get laid? Oh shit, my rights. But
Why do they treat me like an animal?
I do enjoy the fact that like the whole joke with him and like the current like thing that we're watching is just, hey, I'm a guy, but I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Don't even explain it, just PETA, I'm a dog.
He just talks. It is what it is.
Yeah. We had that one-off like appearance of Quagmire. Oh,
Yeah.
him and his get rich quick scheme. Episode two, like I'm just gonna try to move on to that. Episode two, I did not fuck with that much.
It
Like,
was the least memorable of the three.
yeah, and it's the one where like if we want to talk about referential humor, it's just like, hey, Star Trek. You guys know Star Trek?
Yeah.
um, there's the other fucking the Klondike commercial.
Yeah.
Like, man, it that just felt like, hey, we need to pad this out. Like, we need to make 7 episodes.
They needed some filler.
It's just like I can talk about like the pilot episode because like there's so much unique shit just with that. But I really wanted to just like sit down and like rewatch it and just be like, hey, can I pinpoint like all of the fucking references? Like the fucking the sun pouring down the raisins.
Yeah.
J- yeah, that just
Raisin
happened.
Bran cereal.
I've never.
Everything's better with 2 scoops of raisins.
Oh shit, my car. It's just
Fucking meteor shower of raisins.
um. I think that yeah, they did go full back circle to the fucking to the Star Trek thing because there was that guy in red who was just like, oh shit, I'm glad that wasn't me.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy like this small gag where it was just like, fast animals, slow children. The fat kid gets like some food on his clothes and he's just like, oh man.
Yeah, honey on my knees.
I was, I can kind of see the DNA from that whole like episode going into like the future episodes where it's like the first like 5 to 10 minutes is just like this really simple thing where it's just like, oh hey guys, we need to teach Meg how to drive. What if Peter just started hanging out with the guy from Star Trek?
Eh,
And it's just like, yeah, we need to get from point A to point B, and it it just made me kind of feel like nobody really gave a shit about the episode as well.
yeah.
But episode three, I felt like was a lot better. The whole like plot around Stewie's birthday party, and once again like throwing it back to like the fucking just random thing where the guy was just like Hail Hitler, and Peter's just like, "Ayo, what?
Hey.
Hey." I was um, there was a lot of like interesting like background shit with that one. Like or I say background, but the the whole thing where it's like he's at like the Chuck E. Cheese stand-in.
Yeah.
They make two Dukes of Hazard references, which I'm like, okay, yeah, some show I actually know some stuff about. It sounded like they even got like the guy who did like the voiceover was like, them boys are fighting over a watch for 5 minutes. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
was it episode 2 where Peter pinned crashing the car into the satellite on Meg?
Yeah, it was the
I
most.
liked what was it I forgot what I was gonna say. Shit. Oh, her voiceover sounding like fucking what's his name? Oh, from A Christmas Story.
Oh, I never knew that was like a Christmas story thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
the Christmas Story he's narrating in like his adult voice, but it's it's Meg's a woman. It's a dude voicing for Meg
You know that's
in
like
the style of A Christmas Story. Is so funny.
once again just going back to I'm gonna make a show that I want to make with my references.
It's like every time you try to think about it, you realize there's more references.
Yeah, I appreciate that now. Like it's just a show. It's just a show that throws a bunch of shit at the wall and just says hope you laugh because like they kept like trying to hit you with joke after joke. Like fucking Peter sitting in like the hospital bed and he's like, "Oh, I know there's just a field with blueberries for the picking." And the lady's just like, "Hey man, just tell me if you need to piss or die." But episode 3 just it was like it was a lot stronger than like the first two, which I kind of have to appreciate because you know it's like for us like right now where we watch like 3 episodes in a block, it's like it just ended strong.
Mm.
The whole cult thing that was a really nice touch, especially like the way they just kept like upping like Meg's friend of like let's make him crazier looking, like let's have the fucking eyes twitching around. I I appreciate that. Or like she when she was like, "Oh man, that guy's really cute, but he'll never notice me." And then she's just like, "Yeah, they had all their balls chopped off, brother."
It doesn't matter if you have sex with them.
And then Meg,
They've all been castrated.
then you had like the white haired guy who was just like, "Hey, what size you wear? A 9?" And she's like, "Oh, I wear a 6." And he just was like, "What?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay." Um, this Stewie thing. I just remembered another thing from like episode 2, but like Stewie was just like, "Oh, I really fucking hate broccoli. Let me just like fucking just try to destroy all broccoli plants on Earth."
Try to put the Earth into like a winter.
Yeah, and then the little gag where he fucking like falls off the roof and bounces off the trampoline. I thought that was kind of funny, but
It makes me wonder if they like understand what he's saying or like if what they hear is just gibberish.
I it's like explained later on that like Chris, Meg, and Brian can understand him, and everybody that's not Lois or Peter can understand him. Cause
But
like
Lois and Peter just hear gibberish.
yeah, and then like Peter just makes like this one-off comment in a later episode where he's like, "Yeah, just tune him in and out," and I was like, "That's actually just kind of interesting to do because they play with that gag a lot of like, hey, can so and so hear me?" And then they'll be like, "I think he's like far enough away from the family, so yeah." Because in some episodes it'll just be like Stewie says something and then Brian has to repeat it and someone's like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah, yeah, okay." But I think we're like early enough on where like they still just kind of try to fuck around with the dynamics at first because like um Brian in the first couple of seasons is just like Peter's sidekick.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that a lot with episode 3 because you know he was just following him around.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of enjoyed that because like Peter does something stupid and Brian's just like, "Hey man, that's kind of stupid." Like I also enjoyed the thing about the giant ass pinata and it was literally just a giant pinata shaped like an ass.
Giant ass.
And Brian was like, "Man, I really hope candy comes out of that." Or, you know, when he told Peter, he was like, "Hey, you know you have to like book a petting zoo and a clown in a like advance, right?" And Peter's like, "Well, I'm trying my best." And they go up to like the guy dressed as Spider-Man and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I can keep the kids busy. I can get them like trapped in my web." And Peter just fucking runs out.
Yeah, it's like, you're not going anywhere near the kids. Or where he's trying to catch the pigs and he's supposed to be the big bad wolf. And he
Uh,
gets beamed in the face with a paint can, Home Alone style.
oh, that was another really good one because
Yeah.
He just like straight up knocked on the door like he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know what these pigs are trying to do. I can't blow down that house." Like I feel like they could have played around with like that concept a little bit more, but like they were like swapping between like the story of like, "Oh, Stewie's scared that the doctor's going to come back in," or you know, he has to fucking train the other children to be like, "Hey man, we're going to help you beat the doctor off." I could have probably worded that a lot better, but you know what I mean.
Wants them to be little soldiers, but they're babies.
Yeah, which I think that's a lot funnier. It's just like they they knew like a basic family dynamic, which I think at the time was like three kids and a dog, and they just were like, okay, so we have a daughter, a son, and the baby. What the fuck can a baby do? Oh shit! What if we made him smart? Because
And diabolical.
yeah, because he brainwashed that judge to let Peter go, and also like forced him to
Yeah.
give his job back.
Yeah.
So I could kind of appreciate that. And
He did it for his own needs, though.
oh yeah, I mean I especially loved like that one-off joke where like the air traffic controlman guy was like, "Hey, let's take you to go call your parents," and Stewie's just like, "I'll give you whatever you want, money, women." Pause for a minute, men, and
I like how he's saying that Stewie's growing up now, and Stewie's fucking 1 years old.
yeah, that's like
It's like, I do believe he is a baby.
it's just like something that you know that I think the term is like called like a floating timeline
Mm-hmm.
where there's no exact like set amount of time between like episodes and shit. Like some could take place in the past or some place could take in the present because um you know Stewie's just gonna be a baby forever. So sometimes
Yeah.
they'll be like he's turning two or
Uh,
it's hey Stewie, it's your birthday, and he's just like didn't I have like a birthday like 3 seasons ago?
it's like, how old am I?
But it's it's in a like a it's in a very interesting like concept for him right now because I know he just turns into like weird little gay child later down the line, especially when they give him his teddy bear
Oh yeah.
because like he will have like some really gay fantasies with that teddy bear. Like I'm talking sometimes these things are gayer than like actually having sex with a man.
Good lord.
And there's like a lot of other times where it's like implied where he like has actual like sex with some like guys and it's just like what the hell.
That's so raunchy.
And like it's the same thing for Brian because like Brian will just like sometimes like bang women and it's just like do they know like do they know what they're doing is a
He's a
crime or
dog. It's like they do know he's a dog, right?
yeah. And sometimes it gets a little funnier because like that whole trope of like oh it's like a white women thing.
Yeah.
They escape that by like having like 2 to 3 different instances where it's like here's a trans woman, here's a black woman, here's an Indian woman.
Oh no.
um I'm
So
ki-
fucked up.
I'm kind of excited for you to like see the episodes where we get introduced to like some more of the main characters like Joe, some more Quagmire, Cleveland. Like Cleveland showed up in episode 1. He was like the black guy who popped his head and was like, "Hey, is my kid over here?"
That and he was in one of the benches behind Lois in the courthouse.
Yeah. Um we'll get into like the controversial stuff with Cleveland when we cross that road
Hmm.
because there there's like two specific instances where like it's considered controversial. Like one of them's like actually where it just goes like okay I can understand this one. The other one's just like really what the hell. um Quagmire's in like the same boat of like Stewie and Brian where it's just like he'll just straight up commit some like actual crimes, and we're supposed to be just be like, hey, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, I know like Family Guy, I think it's still like popular on TikTok and stuff, or like the where you'll just like be scrolling and then it's like here's some Subway Surfers, and here's your fam game.
Eh,
I I appreciate like that TikTok caused like the resurgence and stuff, but once
eh.
again, just it's really interesting to me. Like I'll be scrolling and then it's just like, yeah, here's half a fucking episode, and I'm like, is this
Half the
legal?
screen is Subway Surfers. Have fun.
Hey man, sometimes the Subway Surfer gameplay like goes kind of hard.
Eh.
I just also noticed like there's not much I can say about fucking like Chris or Lois in those like 3 episodes because like they're barely a character. Like Lois is just more of like women's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Here, look, I'm doing the mom stuff. Oh no, my party.
Mom, I'm
Um,
sad.
I can't tell if Meg's voice actor has already changed or not, but like she goes from like Lacey Chabert to Mila Kunis
Mm.
from that '70s show fame. That's really all I know her from in Bad Moms. But for some reason they have like an unreasonable like hate boner for Lacey Chabert. It's just so fucking random. Because like they'll just be like Lois will be like arguing with Peter at some point, and then he'll just be like, Lois, does the name Lacey Chabert mean anything to you? And Lois will just be like, I'm sorry, Peter, and then just like shuts up for the entire like rest of like the scene. And then Meg will just be like a random thing where it's like, I'm just a whole different woman now. And then it just cuts
Yeah.
to like season one Meg and then her now, and I'm just like, that's a that's a reference, I guess. Like, is it a reference or is it like on that like weird level of, like, where it's like self plagiarism or like you fucking just plagiarized yourself? But yeah, I don't like. I think season one doesn't have many talking points outside of like these highlight episodes like three. Um,
Yeah.
I think the Joe episode that's either like four, five, or six is
Mm.
is like another highlight episode because it's just a whole new character and like they get to tell like a new story and stuff. And
Yeah.
like I also enjoy that we can tell like they're trying to experiment with stuff like the ending credits where they're just like they have like these continuing joke scenes and stuff. I can appreciate trying something different with that.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of season one.
Like it's all up from here.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people have like their different like up and down points where it's like, oh, I feel like after season 9 it's just all downhill, or someone will be like, oh, well, after season 13 I feel like it's all downhill, which that's another interesting point. Is like Family Guy had like an extremely late time where it switched from a standard definition to HD. Like it didn't swap until you know 2013, 2012.
Mm.
So I think that's like I think that's another thing that a lot of people just will say was, their point where they're like, "Oh, it looks different." If I remember to, I'll put this in as like a little Easter egg or like something like the people who watch the YouTube upload this. Um, I forgot to mention this in like the little beginning section with like the history and stuff. But Seth MacFarlane, he also helped animate for seasons 1 through 3, which his art style is like it's a lot rounder than what Family
Mm.
Guy will become known for, where it's like just like these straight like black lines. He drew a picture for like the about the L.A. like wildfire situation that was going on. He drew a picture of like firefighter Brian and a lot of people were commenting on the fact that it was the seasons like 1 through 3 art style, which that's something I really enjoy. Is just after the first cancellation, the art style changed to like more modern Family Guy,
Yeah.
and that's something I appreciate is just that they kept that he still has that art style,
Yeah.
and it's just that's something I'll appreciate. Like I'll send you a picture of it right now because it has a lot of charm to it, and it feels like it was like special because like as someone pointed out, like anytime the Simpsons like tries to do something like that, it feels like very corporate. Like someone in a marketing team just like rolled up in there and was like, "Hey guys, we need you to make an apology letter to the fucking LA Fire Department because like they're doing all this stuff." And Seth's like Brian is just like it feels very wholesome, like your long friend who hasn't called you in a while just made this for you. But yeah, I think I just sent it to you.
Here, let's take a look. Yeah.
It's just cute.
Yeah. Brian wearing the little fire hat and the fireman's jacket.
Brian is like he's my favorite character after like watching the whole
I
like
like Stewie.
Stewie's like a whole mood,
Yeah.
and he has his own movie that I think would be like another thing where it's just like that's gonna be like one episode. It's just like
Yeah.
us analyzing the movie. But I think this is a good
Well,
point to like wrap up.
yeah.
Like, we only watched episodes 1 through 3. There's like not much to talk about. Like we had like one standout episode. The other two were just, about 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So far, I think like if
Well,
if I was to rank, it would be like episode 3, 1 and 2.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But do you have?
Alrighty. Well, I will guess I'll be back for episodes 4 through 7.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. And thank you guys for listening. This is our first podcast. So, we're still floating in the waters trying to see what works. But do you have any like
See
closing
what
words?
sticks. No.
I don't have any here. Thank you guys for watching.